Let me show you a formula for black and whites that I really like. So I'm going to skip down into tone curve, and we'll set this tone curve to strong contrast. And I'm going to, similar to if those of you used to shoot film photography and put filters when you did black and white, anybody way back then, Anita, you probably were back shooting film at one point, right?
Yes, I started with film.
Started with film, yeah, me too. And remember we used to shoot black and white film, and you'd put an orange filter or a red filter over the lens in order to change the tones of the reds and the oranges or whatever. So say we wanted to change the tones of skin tone to kind of make it creamy or whatever we want to do, pump that up here in the filter. So we're going to kind of filter that up just a little bit. But I also like the kind of look of the infrared-y, pseudo-infrared, where the blue skies get darker and greens get lighter. So I'm going to do that little boost in the greens and a drop in the tone. We don't have any blue sky in this image, you can't really see it, but this is kind of the formula. Dropping in the blue and the aqua, these are usually these tones you'll find in the sky. So the skies will get darker, greens will get lighter, so a little more contrast. Skin tones get a little bit lighter, creamier, and the reds of like things like the red of the car tends to lighten up and gives you a nice contrast here as well. Okay, and then what I really like to do is to add a little split toning. Okay, so split toning, I don't want to make this a sepia, but I want to add a little bit of warm chocolate syrup to the shadows of this image such that when I make a print, it looks rich and deep, but not plain, cold, straight black and white, which is fine, but I like to have a little toning. I like selenium toning. Remember darkroom days when we did selenium toning on your prints and have that, just that perfect little warmth in the shadows? It was so cool. That's kind of what I'm shooting for when I'm doing this. Okay, so what we're going to do is go to the split tone section right over here. All right, and I'm going to first of all choose a color for the highlights. So click on the little color swatch, and you're going to choose something that's kind of chocolatey. Okay. You don't need to worry about the saturation. You can go ahead and crank that saturation up if you want to. Don't worry about how it looks. Just find that nice, warm, chocolatey color that you like. I think on screen I can see what you guys are seeing there. Okay, so play around with that. Find the chocolatey tone that you want. You're going to keep the saturation up high just so you can see the color. Right? Then we're going to come back here and we're going to switch the balance. This tells me put that toning all the way in the highlights or only in the shadows. Okay? So here it's more in the highlights, here it's more towards the shadows. So what I want to do is to find a nice balance so that I have less toning in the highlights and more towards the shadows. Okay? So I'll crank that up a little bit. And then I'm going to take the saturation slider down. Whoops, did I just do highlights? I'll click the wrong total button. I'm throwing that's a different, I'm showing you two different things. I'm doing the shadow bumper. Sorry guys, it's been a long day so far. It's only beginning. I have another one that tones the highlights, and put it into the shadows. So chocolate in the shadows. Slide the balance slider up to the right about 3/4 of the way, plus 58. It's a good point to start at. You'll notice now that I have nice chocolatey shadows and the highlights are still fairly clean. And to further clean that up, I now return to my saturation slider and dial that down just a bit, probably about there, 23, 24, 25. And that will restrict my chocolate to the shadows, keep my highlights clean. And you get a nice, rich, tasty black and white that way. Okay. The more saturation you kick up, the more it starts to look like a sepia print. But it's really not bad. Like if you had a true sepia, the balance would be down more towards the middle, where everything looks kind of browny, which is cool if that's what you want. But I really want just the shadows to have that. So that's why I scoot this balance to the right, about 3/4 of the way up. Okay, you guys with me on that? All right. All right, cool. So now I've got a nice, rich black and white. I've got the contrast set where I wanted to on that thing. I've played with my color filtering on it before I've saved it, and then we save it on the presets, let's go and make this a rich and creamy PW. And what did we save for that? Turn those all off. What did we adjust to create that? Remember? We did do a bump to the tone curve, right? We did strong contrast.
Yep.
We did the black and white mix. We did split toning. Was there anything else? Did we change the vignetting on this one?
No.
Now we can leave the vignetting alone because that could come or go. We can do whatever we want with that later on. We just really want the things that makes that the rich black and white, and that's pretty much it right there. Tone curve, black and white mix, split tone.